All right, on to the second chunk. So this one, if you notice, it has two negatives. Let me get my pen working here. Oops. See, still a rookie. So if you can see here, it has a negative and negative here, so it's going to change up our signs a little bit. So first step, as always, take the 6 to the 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Just about a positive sign. And we have to go and find the factors of 24 to do this. So 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. And if you notice, I made a small mistake. I accidentally wrote a 6 there. We're multiplying the 6 to the 4, so it's going away. All right, so we want to find the factors of 24 that get us 5. Since this is negative, we are going to have one negative parenthesis set, I guess you can call it, and one positive, right? So 3 and 8 are the only ones that have a difference of 5. And I say that because we have a negative symbol, so we have to have a negative and a positive, so there'll be subtraction going on instead of adding. And if you remember in class, I told you if the back sign's negative, the sign in front will tell you what the larger number is in the factors. So that means 8 is negative and 3 is positive. And the next step is to undo what we did, which is dividing by 6. Now these cases are a little bit different than the last two that we did in the other video. These can simplify. So they're both even. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. This is right here. They're divisible by 3. So divide by 3 and you get 1 and you get 2, which we should know is a 1/2. Now these ones, there was no integer as the answer, like example over here and right here. So we have to simplify the fraction every single time. We always have to do that. Once we do it, we're going to take the bottom up, and that will give us 3y minus 4, and the bottom up coming up here would be 2y plus 1, and that is your answer. So not too bad. Now what I would like for you to do is to pause the video in about 10 seconds, and I would like for you to do example 4 off there. So pause the video, see how far you can get with step 4, and then hit play, and see if you can get to as far as or to the end, and if you get stuck, then play the video and listen to my instructions. So once again, pause the video now. All right, so you unpaused at this point, and the first step you should have taken was to multiply the 12 to 5. And 12 to 5 is 60. Good job. So we get this. Now, since this last symbol is negative, that means we have to have a positive and a negative set of parentheses. So we write that. And remember, because this last one's negative, the sign in front will tell you what the larger factor is. And we're trying to get to 11. So we have 1 in 60, 2 in 30, 3 in 20. Still not going to get you to 11. 60 divided by 4 is 15, and you should stop right there because 4 and 15 are your answers. Since you want the 11 to be positive, you're going to put the 15 as positive and the 4 is negative. So just to check, negative 4 times 15 is negative 60, and if you add negative 4 and 15 together, you get 11. The step that everybody forgets about, which is the most important, is dividing by the 12. Okay? So once you divide by the 12, you have to ask yourself how you can simplify it. These are both divisible by 4. So you're going to divide the 4 by 4 and you get 1, and the 12 by 4 and you get 3, and then you're going to make the bottom go up. So that gives you 3c minus 1 on the first one. And then we're going to go to the second set of parentheses, and these both are divisible by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then bottoms up. And you take the bottom up and you get 4c plus 5. So these aren't too horrible. They're just, again, a little extra work. but I'm hoping you're following along and getting this. There are a lot of examples on here, and I'm going to do every single one for your sake, so I know that you have every scenario possible for this. So just remember, if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video. You don't have to keep playing it. So if you're writing stuff down, pause the video and then play the video, okay? We're going to have to learn how to be an online learner, and it's a little bit of a process. So again, every first step, multiply the 3 to the last term, and that gets you x squared minus 11x plus 30. Because this last symbol is positive, this symbol in front will tell us what both the parentheses are. So we're going to have two sets of parentheses, both subtracting, and then we need to find the factors of 30. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. We should be getting really good at our factors. We keep kind of doing the same numbers over and over. And this is just good practice, just doing some classic multiplication from back in the day. We're looking for 11. 5 and 6 are your answer to that question, because negative 5 plus negative 6 is negative 11. The step that, again, that everybody forgets is dividing by 3. So you have to undo what you did up here. If this doesn't simplify, you're going to have to take the 3 up, and it doesn't. And if it does simplify, you need to simplify it. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. It's always nice when one of them go to an integer. Makes our life easier. And that is your answer. All right. I would like you to pause the video, try as much as these 3 as you can, and then replay the video, or restart the video, I guess, and see if you got them right. Okay, so pause the video now. All right, now that you undid the pausing, I'm going to go through these, and I am going to go through them pretty quickly because I, once again, gave you tons of examples, which is helpful in the situation of what we are in. So we multiply the 8 to the 3. We are going to then find the factors of 24, and it's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. We are looking to get 10, and 4 and 6 should be the ones you're looking at to do that. Because this last symbol is positive, the symbol in front is going to tell you what your symbols or your operations are. So we're going to do y minus 6 and y minus 4. Last but not least, you always have to undo what you did. So we're going to simplify this 6 and 8. They're both even, so 6 divided by 2 is 3, and this is 4, and then the bottom of that goes up. Now, oops, I forgot that parenthesis there. This should be an easy one to simplify. They're half of each other. That gives you 1 and 2. The bottom goes up, and you get, oops, I made a mistake. Let me erase this. Still learning to work this pen, so it's just a little weird for me of how I have to go around and do this. Okay, so the bottom goes up. Parenthesis, we write 2y minus 1, and we're done. Okay? Now, what I forgot to say is we should be checking for a greatest common factor every single time. You obviously can see in your notes that it says examples with the greatest common factor below. So we have problems that are going to be that scenario. But always, always, always get into the habit of checking, is there a greatest common factor? So 7, 9, 3, and 2, absolutely not. There is no greatest common factor, okay? You have a 2, and you have 2 odd numbers. It's probably not going to happen. And then if you look at 8, you have 10, 1, and 2. Once you have something with the number 1 in, there's not going to be a greatest common factor other than 1, and that's just not useful for what we're doing. So getting back to this, taking the 9 to the 2. Remember, you're literally taking the 9 to the 2 and multiplying, so that goes away. You're going to find the factors of 18, and that's 1 and 18, and 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. 1 and 18 will not get you 3. 2 and 9 will not get you 3, but 3 and 6 will get you 3. And you have this negative, which means you're going to have one set of parentheses with a negative, wow, that M looks goofy, and another one with an addition sign. And in the hint I told you when we did this, the sign in front tells you what the larger number is. 6 is our larger factor from over here, even though you can't see it very well. So that leaves you with this. Next up, and I'm sorry I'm going fast, just repeating myself, so it's hard not to go fast. You're going to divide by 9. That simplifies down to 1/3. This simplifies down to 2/3 because they're all divisible by 3. So that gives you 3m minus 1 and 3m plus 2. Okay? Next one, you're going to take the 10 to the 2. Gives you p squared minus p minus 20. This is negative, so I'm going to have a set of parentheses with a negative and a positive, because the only way you can multiply to a negative number is a negative and a positive number. All right, so then you're going to find the factors of 20, and that's 1 and 20, 2 and 10. Sorry, I'm like, my hand's like right off this little tablet. It's really weird. And 4 and 5. So we're trying to get to 1p. This is the only one that's a different in number. There's only one number in different. That's a weird way to say it. The difference between the two numbers is 1. There we go. A little bit of struggle there. And if you remember, the sign in front of that last negative tells you what the biggest factor is. The biggest factor is 5, so it's going to be negative, and 4 is going to be positive, and then we undo what we did. Unfortunately, you have two fractions where the numerator, the top number, is smaller than the denominator, so you're always going to have a fraction in that situation, and you're going to have to simplify them. So they're both here on this 5 and 10 divisible by 5, so we can get 1 and 2, which obviously we should know is a half, and that leaves you with that because you're going to take that bottom up. And on these, they're both even, so they're divisible by 2, so that leaves you with 2 and 5. Well, that's a mess. And the 5 goes up, so you get 5p plus 2. All right, so I'm going to finish the notes off here with this last example on 8. I'm going to do one more little snippet of it, just again to separate it a little bit and make it not so overwhelming. And the next part is only going to be dealing with when there is a greatest common factor. All right, hope this helped. Thanks.